Welcome to this journey through time. Today, we will travel into the world of forgotten cities and vanished civilizations. We will slowly wander through ancient streets, paths, and ruins, listening to the whisper of history left behind by the people who once lived here, loved, built, and created. Every place hides secrets, legends, and mysteries. And as we listen, let your thoughts gradually slow down and your mind relax. Make yourself comfortable, settle into a relaxed position, and allow the ancient cities to carry you into a world of silence and remarkable stories.
Tikal in Guatemala, the lost Maya city in the jungle. Imagine an endless jungle. Morning mist rises above the trees. Tropical birds call from the forest. Leaves move in the warm air, and somewhere in the distance you hear the roar of howler monkeys. Then, suddenly, stone pyramids appear above the green canopy. They rise from the jungle like traces of a forgotten world. This is Tikal, one of the most famous cities of the ancient Maya civilization. It is located in northern Guatemala, in the region of Petén, inside a national park. Today, Tikal is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the greatest archaeological treasures of Central America. But Tikal was not always a place of ruins. More than 1,000 years ago, it was a powerful living city. Kings, priests, warriors, craftsmen, and thousands of ordinary people lived here. Ceremonies took place in great plazas, rituals were performed in temples, and priests observed the sky from the tops of pyramids. The history of Tikal began several centuries before our era. Over time, a small settlement grew into a powerful city-state. Tikal reached its greatest influence during the classic Maya period, roughly between the 3rd and 9th centuries AD. During this time, its people built massive temples, palaces, roads, altars, and stone monuments covered with hieroglyphic inscriptions. The Maya did not create one single empire. Their world consisted of many city-states that traded, formed alliances, competed for power, and fought wars. Tikal was one of the most influential centers of this world. Its great rival was Calakmul, a powerful city in what is now Mexico. For many years, these two cities struggled for dominance and control over trade routes. The heart of Tikal is the Great Plaza. Here stand two famous temples facing each other. The first is Temple 1, also known as the Temple of the Great Jaguar. It is about 47 meters high and was built as a funerary temple for the ruler Jasaw Chankawil. Inside, archaeologists found his tomb with jade, ceramics, ornaments, and other valuable objects. Opposite it stands Temple 2, also called the Temple of the Masks. From its upper platform, visitors can see the Great Plaza and Temple 1. It is easy to imagine this place centuries ago. People gathering below, drums echoing through the plaza, priests climbing the steep stairs, and rulers appearing above the crowd, as if standing between the human world and the world of the gods. One of the most breathtaking places in Tikal is Temple 4. Rising more than 60 meters high, it offers a famous view over the endless jungle. The tops of ancient temples rise above the trees like stone islands in a green ocean. At sunrise, mist covers the forest, wildlife fills the air with sound, and the first light touches the ruins. Tikal is impressive not only because of its architecture, it is also a place where history and wild nature exist together. Toucans, parrots, coatis, monkeys, and many other animals live here. Sometimes it feels as if the jungle is not just surrounding the ancient city, but has become part of it. Tree roots wrap around stones, moss covers old steps, and the sounds of the forest create the atmosphere of a true lost world. Even after decades of research, Tikal still keeps real unsolved mysteries. One of the greatest is the sudden weakening of the city in the 6th and 7th centuries. In 562 AD, Tikal suffered a major defeat, probably by forces connected to Calakmul. After this event, royal inscriptions and major monuments almost disappeared for a long period. Scholars call this the hiatus, a kind of historical silence. But what exactly happened inside Tikal remains unclear. Was the city controlled by its enemies? Did it suffer an internal political crisis? Did the ruling dynasty lose power for generations? Another mystery is connected to the influence of Teotihuacan, a powerful ancient city in central Mexico. In 378 AD, a figure known as Siaj Kak arrived in Tikal. Soon after, major political changes took place, and elements of Teotihuacan style appeared in Tikal's art and architecture. Scholars still debate what this event really was: a military invasion, a diplomatic alliance, or a change in the ruling elite. The final decline of Tikal is also not fully understood. Droughts, warfare, overpopulation, environmental pressure, lack of resources, and political instability may all have played a role, but archaeologists cannot point to one single cause. Tikal may have declined not because of one sudden disaster, but because of many problems building up over time. Modern technology has revealed even more mysteries. Using LiDAR laser scanning, researchers have discovered hidden roads, platforms, fortifications, and unknown structures beneath the jungle. These discoveries show that Tikal and its surroundings were much larger and more complex than previously believed. But many of these places have not yet been excavated. Archaeologists can see their shapes on digital maps, but they still do not know what lies beneath the ground: houses, temples, palaces, or tombs. It is important to remember that the Maya people did not disappear. Their descendants still live today in Guatemala, Mexico, Belize, and other parts of Central America. They continue to preserve their languages, traditions, and cultural identity. The great classic Maya cities declined, but the Maya people survived. Today, Tikal is a place where history, nature, and mystery come together. It reminds us that even the greatest cities can disappear, but stones can still preserve memory. The pyramids still stand, and the mysteries of the Maya continue to attract travelers from all over the world. Petra in Jordan is one of the most extraordinary ancient cities in the world. It is not simply a collection of ruins or a famous tourist attraction. Petra is a place where nature, trade, engineering, religion, and architecture came together to create something almost impossible: a great city carved into the rocks of the desert. The city lies in southern Jordan, among mountains and sandstone cliffs whose colors change from pale pink to deep red and golden orange. Because of these colors, Petra is often called the Rose City. Its location seems remote today, but in ancient times it stood at the center of important trade routes connecting Arabia, Egypt, Syria, and the Mediterranean world. The people who made Petra famous were the Nabataeans. They were an Arab people who began as nomadic traders and gradually became powerful merchants, builders, and rulers. By around the 4th century BC, they had learned how to control caravan routes across the desert. Their wealth came not only from conquest, but from knowledge. They understood the landscape, knew where water could be found, and knew how to move safely through dangerous desert regions. Caravans passed through Petra carrying some of the most valuable goods of the ancient world. Among them were frankincense, myrrh, spices, perfumes, precious stones, fabrics, metals, and other luxury products. Frankincense and myrrh were especially important. These aromatic resins were used in temples, medicine, perfumes, and burial rituals. In some periods, they were worth enormous sums of money. Whoever controlled their trade could become very rich. Petra became the Nabataean capital and one of the great meeting points between East and West. Merchants, travelers, priests, craftsmen, and officials all passed through its streets. Different cultures met there, and this mixture can still be seen in the city's architecture. Nabataean monuments include influences from Greek, Roman, Egyptian, and Near Eastern traditions. Yet they also have a unique local style. The most famous entrance to Petra is the Sik, a narrow natural gorge about 1.2 kilometers long. Walking through it is one of the most dramatic experiences in the ancient world. The rock walls rise high above the path, sometimes reaching around 80 meters. In some places, the passage becomes very narrow, allowing only a small amount of sunlight to enter. The colors and shapes of the stone create an atmosphere of mystery. For ancient visitors, the Sik was not just a practical road, it was a ceremonial entrance into the city. Along its walls, archaeologists have found traces of water channels and religious carvings. The Nabataeans shaped the natural landscape and turned the approach to their capital into an unforgettable journey. At the end of the Sik appears Petra's most famous monument, Al-Khazne, known as the Treasury. Its facade suddenly emerges between the cliffs, carved directly into the rose-colored rock. It is one of the most recognizable ancient monuments on Earth. The name Treasury appeared much later because local legends claimed that treasure was hidden in the stone urn at the top of the facade. Some people even fired bullets at it, hoping to break it open and find gold. Marks from these attempts can still be seen. In reality, archaeologists believe that Al-Khazne was probably not a treasury. It may have been a royal tomb or a ceremonial monument, possibly connected with a Nabataean king. It was carved around the 1st century AD and shows a high level of artistic and technical skill. Its columns, pediments, and sculptural details reflect Hellenistic influence, but the monument as a whole belongs unmistakably to Petra. One of Petra's greatest mysteries is how such a large city could survive in a dry desert environment. Rainfall in the region is limited, and natural water sources are scarce. Yet the Nabataeans solved this problem with remarkable engineering. They built dams, channels, cisterns, reservoirs, and ceramic pipes. They collected rainwater when it fell and guided it into storage systems. They also protected the city from sudden flash floods, which could be extremely dangerous in narrow canyons. This water system allowed Petra to support a large population, as well as animals, gardens, temples, workshops, and visiting caravans. It was not a simple survival method, but a sophisticated hydraulic network. In many ways, the success of Petra depended on water as much as on trade. The Nabataeans turned a harsh landscape into a livable and prosperous urban center. Although Al-Khazne is the most famous building, Petra is much more than one monument. The city contains hundreds of tombs, temples, caves, stairways, altars, and public buildings. Some structures are carved directly into cliffs, while others were built with stone blocks. There were markets, administrative areas, religious spaces, and residential districts. Petra was a living city, not merely a city of tombs. One of the most impressive monuments is Ad-Dair, or the monastery. It is larger than Al-Khazne and is also carved into the rock. Its facade is about 45 meters high. To reach it, visitors must climb hundreds of stone steps through the mountains. The name monastery comes from a later period, when Christians may have used the building. Originally, it was probably a Nabataean temple or funerary complex. In the center of Petra stood important public monuments, including the Great Temple and a colonnaded street. These remains show that Petra had a complex urban structure. It was connected to the wider world and influenced by major civilizations of its time. Coins were minted, goods were exchanged, religious ceremonies were performed, and political decisions were made there. The Nabataean kingdom managed to remain independent for a long time by carefully balancing between stronger powers. However, in 106 AD, the Roman Empire annexed Nabatea. Under Emperor Trajan, the region became the Roman province of Arabia Petraea. Petra did not immediately decline. For a period, it continued to develop under Roman rule. Roman architectural features appeared, and the city remained important. Over time, however, Petra's role began to weaken. Trade routes changed, and sea trade through the Red Sea became more important. The Roman Empire also controlled many roads directly, reducing the Nabataeans' old role as middlemen. Earthquakes damaged the city, especially the powerful earthquake of 363 AD, which harmed buildings and water systems. Petra did not disappear suddenly. During the Byzantine period, a Christian community lived there, and churches with mosaics were built. But gradually, the city lost its economic and political importance. Its population decreased, buildings collapsed, and the water systems fell into disrepair. Eventually, Petra became known mainly to local Bedouin communities who lived among the ruins and preserved many stories about the place. For the Western world, Petra was rediscovered in 1812 by the Swiss explorer Johann Ludwig Burckhardt. He traveled through the Middle East under the Arabic name Ibrahim ibn Abdallah and spoke Arabic. After hearing stories of a hidden ancient city, he persuaded a guide to take him there by saying he wanted to make a sacrifice near the tomb of the prophet Aaron. His visit brought Petra back to European attention. Since then, archaeologists, historians, artists, and travelers have studied the city. Yet many questions remain. What exactly was the purpose of Al-Khazne? How were Nabataean religious rituals performed? What hidden structures still lie beneath the sand? The Nabataeans left inscriptions, but they did not leave detailed histories of themselves. Much of their story must be reconstructed from architecture, artifacts, water systems, and scattered texts. Modern technology is helping researchers discover more. Satellite imagery, drones, ground-penetrating radar, and 3D scanning allow scientists to study areas that are difficult to excavate. In recent years, researchers have identified large hidden structures near Petra, proving that the city still has secrets to reveal. Today, Petra is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the new 7 wonders of the world. It attracts visitors from across the globe. Tourism brings income to Jordan and to local communities, but it also creates risks. The soft sandstone is vulnerable to erosion, wind, rain, salts, and human contact. Protecting Petra is a serious challenge. Petra is powerful because it shows what human beings can create in even the most difficult environment. The Nabataeans transformed cliffs into monuments, a desert valley into a capital, and trade routes into an empire of wealth and culture. Their city survived kings, empires, earthquakes, and centuries of silence. Even today, Petra feels both open and hidden. Its facades are visible to everyone, but its deeper story remains partly buried in stone and sand. That is why Petra continues to fascinate the world. It is not only a beautiful, ancient city, but also a mystery carved into the heart of the desert. Mohenjo-daro, the ancient city of the Indus Valley Civilization. Among the hot plains of modern Pakistan, in the province of Sindh, not far from the Indus River, lie the ruins of one of the most mysterious cities of the ancient world. It is called Mohenjo-daro, a name often translated as the Mound of the Dead. This name appeared long after the city had been abandoned, while its original ancient name remains unknown. Mohenjo-daro was one of the largest centers of the Indus Valley Civilization, one of the earliest urban civilizations in human history. It existed from around the 3rd millennium BC and was a contemporary of ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia. But while we know many names of Egyptian pharaohs and Mesopotamian kings, the Indus civilization remains much more silent. It left behind cities, seals, ornaments, pottery, water systems, and mysterious inscriptions, but its script has still not been deciphered. Mohenjo-daro was built around 2600 BC and reached its height during the mature Harappan period. It was not a chaotic ancient settlement, but a carefully organized city with advanced urban planning. Its streets crossed each other almost at right angles, forming city blocks. Houses were built from baked bricks of standardized size. Many buildings had inner courtyards, stairways, several rooms, and some may even have had a second floor. One of the most impressive features of the city was its water supply and drainage system. Many houses had their own wells, bathing areas, and drains. Wastewater flowed through brick channels covered with stone slabs along the streets. For a city more than 4,000 years old, this looks surprisingly modern. At a time when many people in other parts of the world still lived in small settlements, the people of Mohenjo-daro were already creating complex urban infrastructure. The city is usually divided into two main parts. The upper area, often called the citadel, stood on an artificially raised platform. This area contained some of the largest public buildings. The lower city was a residential zone where craftsmen, traders, and ordinary people lived. However, the word citadel does not necessarily mean a fortress in the usual sense. Mohenjo-daro shows few clear signs of massive defensive walls or royal palaces like those found in many other ancient civilizations. One of the most famous structures in the city is the Great Bath. It is a rectangular pool built of brick and sealed with waterproof material. Steps led down into the pool, and nearby there were rooms and passages. Scholars believe the Great Bath may have been used for religious or public rituals connected with purification. But its exact purpose remains unknown. It was too carefully constructed to be just an ordinary pool. Yet there is no clear evidence explaining its precise function. Near the citadel, archaeologists discovered large buildings that were once often called granaries. Today, researchers are more cautious with this interpretation. These buildings may have been used to store grain or goods, but direct proof is lacking. Some scholars suggest they may have been public halls, warehouses, administrative buildings, or structures with another purpose entirely. This is one reason why Mohenjo-daro remains difficult to understand. The buildings are there, but their meaning is not always clear. The Indus Valley civilization was vast, Its settlements have been found across modern Pakistan, northwestern India, and nearby regions. Among its largest cities were Harappa, Mohenjo-daro, Dholavira, Rakhigarhi, and others. These cities were connected by trade and shared culture. This is shown by standardized bricks, similar seals, common systems of weights and measures, and comparable everyday objects. The people of Mohenjo-daro were skilled craftsmen. They made ornaments from carnelian, faience, shells, copper, bronze, and gold. Archaeologists have found beads, bracelets, figurines, pottery, tools, and the famous seals decorated with animals. One of the best-known seals shows a unicorn-like animal beside signs of the Indus script. Another famous artifact is a small bronze figure known as the Dancing Girl. It demonstrates the high level of skill achieved by ancient metalworkers. Trade played an important role in the life of the city. Objects connected with Harappan culture have been found far beyond the Indus Valley, including in Mesopotamia. Sumerian texts mention a mysterious land called Meluha, and many researchers believe this name may refer to the Indus civilization. Goods exported from Mohenjo-daro and other Indus cities may have included timber, precious stones, cotton, shell objects, bone items, and metal products. In return, they may have received raw materials and goods from other regions. But the more archaeologists learn about Mohenjo-daro, the more questions appear. One of the greatest mysteries is the script of the Indus civilization. Many short inscriptions have been found on seals, tablets, and pottery. They contain dozens of different signs, but the texts are usually very brief. No one has been able to reliably decipher this writing system. The language behind the signs is unknown. It may have been related to ancient Dravidian languages, but this is only one hypothesis. Until the script is deciphered, the voices of the people of Mohenjo-daro remain closed to us. Another mystery is the political system of the city. Egypt had pharaohs. Mesopotamia had kings and palaces. In Mohenjo-daro, archaeologists have not found obvious royal tombs, luxurious palaces, or great monuments praising rulers. This does not mean there was no authority. Such a large city could not exist without organization. But how was power arranged? Was there a king, a council of elders, a priestly elite, or a trade and administrative system? There is no definite answer. Perhaps power in the Indus cities was less openly displayed than in Egypt or Mesopotamia. The religion of Mohenjo-daro is also mysterious. The city has no huge temples like those of Egypt or Mesopotamia. There are seals with animals, figurines, images of possible deities, and symbols that may have had ritual meaning. Some researchers see in them early forms of cults connected with fertility, water, animals, or forces of nature. But without deciphered texts, it is impossible to say exactly whom the people worshipped or what rituals they performed.
The most famous mystery of Mohenjo-daro is the cause of its decline. For a long time, there was a theory that the city had been destroyed by a sudden invasion. In the 20th century, some archaeologists connected human skeletons found at the site with a violent end to the city. Later, sensational stories appeared about a massacre or even an almost instant catastrophe. But modern research treats such versions with caution. The human remains do not prove that the whole city died in a single day because of an attack. Yet, they may belong to different periods and different circumstances. Today, most scholars believe that Mohenjo-daro did not disappear suddenly. Its decline was probably gradual. One possible reason was climate change. Around the 2nd millennium BC, serious environmental changes took place in the region. Monsoon rains may have weakened, rivers changed their courses, and some lands became less suitable for farming. For a city dependent on water, agriculture, and trade,
This could have been disastrous. Changes in the river system may have been especially important. The Indus civilization developed near great rivers and their tributaries. If a river changed its course, if floods became frequent, or if water became scarce, urban life became increasingly difficult. Archaeological layers show that Mohenjo-daro suffered from flooding more than once. Its inhabitants raised street levels and rebuilt houses, as if trying to adapt to repeated natural problems. Economic changes may also have played a role. If trade links with Mesopotamia weakened, if agriculture became less productive, and if people began moving to other regions, large cities gradually lost their importance. Perhaps the people of Mohenjo-daro did not vanish, but moved into smaller settlements. Therefore, it is more accurate to speak not of the complete disappearance of a people, but of the collapse of an urban system. There is another mystery. Why did such an advanced civilization leave so few traces of war? In Mohenjo-daro, there are almost no large fortifications. Weapons are relatively rare, and battle scenes do not play a major role in its art. This does not mean there were no conflicts at all, but the Indus civilization looks different from many of its neighbors. Perhaps its stability was based not mainly on military power, but on trade, control of resources, traditions, and a shared system of standards. Mohenjo-daro is also remarkable for its level of everyday comfort. The attention given to water, cleanliness, and city planning suggests that its people valued order in daily life. Yet we know almost nothing about their names, myths, laws, or rulers. The city appears rational and highly organized, but its inner world remains hidden. Today, Mohenjo-daro is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, but the monument itself is under threat. Salty groundwater, heat, rains, erosion, and tourism are slowly damaging the ancient bricks. Archaeologists and conservators are trying to preserve the ruins, but this is a difficult task. The city was built from materials that do not survive easily for thousands of years under the open sky. Mohenjo-daro is not just a collection of ancient walls and streets. It is proof that more than 4,000 years ago, people were already capable of creating cities with advanced infrastructure, drainage systems, public buildings, and complex crafts. At the same time, it remains one of the greatest mysteries of archaeology. We can see its streets, houses, wells, and seals, but we cannot read its texts. We understand that the city was highly developed, but we do not know who ruled it. We see traces of decline, but we cannot name one exact cause of its end. That is why Mohenjo-daro captures the imagination so strongly. It is a city that speaks to us through bricks, drains, seals, and silent ruins. It shows the greatness of the Indus Valley civilization and reminds us how much of ancient history is still unknown. Perhaps one day the Indus script will be deciphered, and then Mohenjo-daro will finally tell its story in its own voice.
Palenque, the forgotten Maya city in the jungles of Mexico. Deep in the tropical jungles of southern Mexico, in the state of Chiapas, among humid air, dense greenery, the calls of birds, and the sound of running water, lie the ruins of one of the most beautiful and mysterious cities of the Maya civilization. This city is called Palenque. Today, Palenque is an archaeological site and a UNESCO World Heritage Site, but once it was a living city with plazas, temples, palaces, roads, canals, houses, workshops, and sacred places. Human voices echoed here. Ritual processions moved through the squares. Craftsmen worked with stone and clay. Scribes carved signs into monuments, and priests watched the movement of the stars. Palenque was not the largest Maya city. It was smaller than giants such as Tikal, Calakmul, or Copan. But in the beauty of its architecture, the elegance of its reliefs, its harmony with nature, and the number of surviving inscriptions, it holds a special place. These are not just ruins. This is a city that seems to have dissolved into the jungle, but never completely disappeared. The ancient name of Palenque was probably Lacama, which can be translated as Great Water or Big Waters, and this name fits the place perfectly. Unlike many other Maya cities, Palenque was closely connected with water. Streams flowed here,
springs and waterfalls were nearby, and the Maya created a complex system of canals, aqueducts, and drainage channels. Water in Palenque was not only a practical necessity, it was part of the city's identity. Ancient builders directed streams beneath plazas, along walls, and through special stone channels. Some water systems were hidden underground. This shows the high level of Maya engineering. They knew how not only to build temples and pyramids, but also to control and reshape the natural landscape. One of the main features of Palenque is its location. The city was built not on an open plain, but at the foot of the mountains, on the border between jungle and hills. Because of this, its architecture looks especially picturesque. Temples rise against the background of green slopes, stairways climb to the tops of pyramids, and ancient walls seem to grow out of the earth itself. The central part of the city consists of several large architectural complexes. Among them, the most important are the palace, the temple of the inscriptions, the cross group, and numerous smaller temples, platforms, and residential areas. But what tourists see today is only a part of ancient Palenque. A large part of the city is still hidden beneath the jungle. Under tree roots, soil, and moss, there may be dozens of buildings that have not yet been excavated. The heart of Palenque was the palace, a vast architectural complex with inner courtyards, galleries, passages, stairways, and its famous tower. It does not look like an ordinary residence. It was the administrative, ceremonial, and political center of the city. Meetings of rulers, rituals, receptions of envoys, legal decisions, and important state ceremonies may have taken place here. The palace tower remains especially mysterious. It is unusual for Maya architecture and still causes debate among researchers. Some scholars believe it may have served as an observation point. Others think it had ritual meaning. There is also a theory that it was used to observe celestial events, the movement of the sun, or important calendar dates. But there is no final answer. The architecture of Palenque is known for its elegance. Many buildings here seem lighter and more refined than in other Maya cities. They contain long galleries, carefully built vaults, carved panels, reliefs, and complex compositions. The Maya did not simply build in stone. Through architecture, they told their history, expressed their beliefs, and showed their vision of the universe. A special place belongs to the cross group. It includes the Temple of the Cross, the Temple of the Foliated Cross, and the Temple of the Sun. These structures stand on raised platforms and form one of the most expressive ensembles in Palenque. Inside the temples, carved panels were found showing rulers, sacred symbols, and mythological scenes. They tell of the connection between the city, the gods, the ancestors, and cosmic order. For the Maya, a city was not just a place to live. It was a reflection of the universe. Temples symbolized sacred mountains. Stairways represented the path between worlds. Caves and underground spaces were seen as entrances to the realm of ancestors and gods. Water could be associated with the underworld, fertility, and renewal. That is why the layout of Palenque may have had not only practical, but also deep religious meaning. Life in the city was complex and well organized. At the top of society were rulers, nobles, and priests. But the real life of the city was supported by ordinary people: farmers, builders, craftsmen, porters, merchants, warriors, and families living around the ceremonial center. They grew food, made pottery, built structures, quarried stone, took part in rituals, and kept the city alive. the ordinary people of Palenque left almost no names in inscriptions. History usually remembers kings, but remains silent about the thousands of people who created the city with their own hands. Behind every temple was the labor of builders. Behind every relief was the skill of stone carvers. Behind every water channel was the knowledge of engineers. Behind every plaza was the everyday life of people who once called Palenque home. But Palenque also holds one of the most famous royal mysteries of the Maya world, the tomb of the ruler Kainich Janab Pakal, often called Pakal the Great. He ruled in the 7th century and played an important role in the city's rise. During his reign, Palenque became stronger, monuments were built, and the power of the dynasty was reinforced. The main mystery of Pakal is connected with the Temple of the Inscriptions. From the outside, it is a stepped pyramid with a temple on top. For a long time, no one knew that a burial chamber was hidden inside it. In the mid-20th century, archaeologists discovered a sealed stairway descending deep into this pyramid. After years of excavation, they found a huge stone sarcophagus containing the ruler's remains. Pakal's face was covered with a magnificent jade mosaic mask, and the lid of the sarcophagus was decorated with a complex carved scene. It shows the ruler in a mythological space between the world of the living, the underworld, and the heavens. Later, fantastic theories appeared, claiming that Pakal was depicted as an ancient astronaut inside a spacecraft, but archaeologists explain it differently. This is not technology, but Maya religious symbolism. The world tree, deities, signs of death and rebirth. And yet, the tomb remains one of the most powerful mysteries of Palenque. Why was it hidden inside the pyramid? How did the builders calculate the inner chambers so precisely? What rituals accompanied the burial? And how many similar secrets are still hidden beneath stone and jungle? Palenque reached its height during the classic period of Maya civilization. The city was part of a complex political network. The Maya were not a single empire. Their world consisted of separate city-states that formed alliances, fought wars, traded, and competed for influence. Palenque also took part in this struggle. Its history includes periods of rise, defeat, recovery, and renewed construction. But in the 8th and 9th centuries, many Maya cities began to decline. Palenque also gradually lost its importance. The last known dates on its monuments belong to the late 8th century. After that, the city seems to disappear from written history. Why was Palenque abandoned? This is one of its greatest mysteries. Most likely, there was no single catastrophe that destroyed the city in one day. The reasons may have been complex: wars, political crisis, population growth, soil exhaustion, deforestation, lack of resources, and possible droughts. All these factors could have slowly weakened the stability of the city. When power weakened, construction stopped. Temples were no longer renewed. Plazas became empty. Rituals disappeared, and people gradually left. The jungle began to reclaim the city. Tree roots entered the walls. Stone stairways became covered with moss. Roofs collapsed, and plazas vanished beneath earth and fallen leaves. Over time, Palenque became a forgotten city. It did not disappear completely. Local people knew about the ruins, but for the outside world, the city turned into a mystery for a long time. The first reports about it appeared in the 18th century. Later, travelers, artists, and researchers began to describe its buildings and reliefs. At that time, Maya writing had not yet been deciphered. and Palenque seemed like a silent city left behind by an unknown people. Today, the situation has changed. Scholars have learned to read many Maya inscriptions. Palenque is no longer completely silent. Its stone texts tell us the names of rulers, dates, wars, rituals, and dynastic events. But even now, the city keeps many secrets. One of them is the unexplored areas. Archaeologists believe that only part of Palenque has been excavated. Around the main center, beneath the forest, lie residential quarters, terraces, platforms, small temples, and possibly new burials. Modern technologies, including LiDAR scanning, allow researchers to see traces of buildings under the trees, but the full study of the city may take decades. Another mystery is connected with the water system. The canals and aqueducts of Palenque show that the Maya had deep engineering knowledge. But was water only a convenience, or did it have sacred meaning? Perhaps underground streams symbolized a connection with the world of the dead, rain gods, and the forces of fertility. If so, the city itself may have been built as a sacred landscape where architecture, water, and nature formed one unified system. There is also the mystery of everyday life. We know about palaces and temples, but much less about the people who lived outside the ceremonial center. What did an ordinary day look like for them? What did they eat? How did they raise children? How did they take part in rituals? What stories did they tell by the fire? These questions are harder than they seem because ordinary people rarely left written records about themselves. Palenque is fascinating precisely because of this combination of reality and mystery. There is no need to invent fantastic legends. The real history of the city is astonishing enough. It was an advanced Maya center with architecture, engineering, writing, politics, religion, and a complex vision of the world. Today, when a person walks through Palenque, they see only stone remains. But if we imagine the city alive, the picture changes. People gather in the plazas, priests climb the stairways, water flows through stone channels, craftsmen work in workshops, incense burns in the temples, new inscriptions appear on the walls. And around all of this stretches the endless jungle. Palenque is not simply an ancient city. It is a place where nature and architecture merged into one. The temples do not look foreign among the trees. They seem as if they have always been part of this landscape. Perhaps that is why Palenque leaves such a powerful impression. It does not feel dead, it feels asleep. The main mystery of Palenque is not only in Tikal's sarcophagus, and not only in the unexcavated temples. The main mystery lies in the very existence of a city that managed to unite stone, water, jungle, power, faith, and knowledge into one system. Its people are long gone, but the world they created still speaks to us through the ruins. Palenque reminds us that civilizations may disappear, but their traces remain. Sometimes they are hidden underground, sometimes beneath the roots of trees, sometimes in undeciphered symbols, and sometimes in the silence of ancient stones that continue to preserve the memory of a city forgotten by the jungle, but not by time.
Harappa, the mysterious city of the Indus Valley. Civilization. Imagine an ancient city more than 4,000 years old. A city with straight streets, carefully planned districts, a drainage system, brick houses, workshops, warehouses, and trade routes. A city where people use seals with mysterious signs, yet their writing system has still not been deciphered. A city that existed at the same time as ancient Egypt and Mesopotamia. but left behind far more questions than answers. This city is called Harappa. Today, Harappa is located in modern Pakistan, in the province of Punjab, near the Ravi River, but the civilization to which it belonged was much larger. It is known as the Indus Valley Civilization, or the Harappan Civilization. It covered vast territories of modern Pakistan, northwestern India, and parts of Afghanistan. In terms of area, it was one of the largest civilizations of the Bronze Age. Harappa became one of the first cities through which scholars realized that a developed and independent ancient culture had existed in the Indus Valley. Before the discovery of these ruins, it was long believed that the main centers of the ancient world were Egypt and Mesopotamia. But the finds at Harappa and Mohenjo-daro showed that in the east there was another great world, no less complex, organized, and mysterious. The height of the Harappan civilization came roughly between 2600 and 1900 BCE. During this period, the cities of the Indus Valley reached a high level of development. People built with baked brick, used standardized weights, created jewelry, pottery, seals, traded with distant regions, and knew how to organize life in large urban centers. But the most striking thing about Harappa is its layout. The ancient city was not arranged chaotically. Its streets crossed each other almost at right angles, forming blocks. This grid-like structure resembles modern cities. It suggests that Harappa did not grow randomly, but was planned in advance. The city streets were wide enough, and houses stood along them in an orderly way. Many buildings were made of bricks of the same size. Brick standardization shows a high level of organization. Someone controlled production, construction, and the distribution of resources. But who exactly did this? We do not know. Unlike Egypt, where rulers left behind huge pyramids, or Mesopotamia with its temple ziggurats, Harappa has no obvious royal palaces or gigantic temples. This is one of the greatest mysteries of the Indus civilization. Was there a centralized state here? Did kings exist? Or were the cities governed by councils, priests, or a trading elite? There is still no definite answer. Harappa consisted of different parts. Scholars identify an elevated area, sometimes called the citadel, and a lower town, where craftsmen, traders, and ordinary residents may have lived. But the word citadel does not necessarily mean a fortress. It may have been an administrative or ritual zone, a place for storing goods, public buildings, or important urban functions. One of Harappa's most impressive achievements was its drainage system. Many houses had rooms connected with water, bathing areas, drains, and channels. Water flowed through brick drainage systems that ran along the streets. Some drains were covered with slabs so they could be cleaned and maintained. For a Bronze Age city, this was an incredible level of engineering. At the time, many ancient settlements had nothing similar. The people of Harappa clearly cared about cleanliness, water, and urban order. Their civilization does not amaze us with huge statues or royal tombs, but with attention to everyday life. The houses in Harappa varied in size. Some may have belonged to wealthier families, while others were more modest. Inside, there were often courtyards, rooms, and household spaces. Entrances were frequently arranged in a way that preserved privacy. This shows a developed understanding of urban life and personal space. Harappa was not only a residential city, but also a craft center. Archaeologists have found evidence of working with stone, metal, shells, bone, and semi-precious materials. Craftsmen made beads, ornaments, tools, pottery, and seals. Harappan carnelian beads are especially famous, beautiful reddish-orange ornaments that required complex processing. Trade played a huge role. The people of the Indus civilization maintained contacts with other regions, including Mesopotamia. Ancient Mesopotamian texts mention a land called Meluha. Many researchers believe that this name may refer to the Indus Valley civilization. From the Harappan world, people may have exported wood, cotton, precious stones, beads, metal, ivory, and other goods. One of the most famous finds of the Harappan civilization is the small square seal. Usually made of steatite, these seals are decorated with animal images and short inscriptions. They show bulls, elephants, rhinoceroses, tigers, buffaloes, and a mysterious creature sometimes called the unicorn. This is a conventional name for an animal with one long horn, often seen on Harappan seals. What were these seals used for? Possibly for trade, marking ownership, controlling goods, or keeping administrative records. They may have been pressed into clay to leave impressions on packages, vessels, or merchandise. This shows that Harappa had a complex system of exchange and record keeping. But the greatest mystery of these seals is the writing. They contain short inscriptions made of signs that have still not been deciphered. The Harappan script remains one of the greatest mysteries of archaeology. We see the symbols, but we cannot read their meaning. The problem is that the inscriptions are very short. Usually, they contain only a few signs. No long texts have been found, like Egyptian inscriptions or Mesopotamian tablets. There is also no bilingual inscription, like the Rosetta Stone for Egypt, which could connect an unknown language with a known one. That is why scholars still debate whether this was a full writing system, a symbolic system, ownership marks, or something in between. If the Indus script is ever deciphered, we may learn the names of rulers, city names, religious ideas, trade records, and the real voices of the people of Harappa. But for now, the city remains almost silent. Its history is written not in words, but in bricks, streets, seals, and everyday objects. The religion of Harappa also remains mysterious. There are no long mythological texts here. Scholars find figurines, animal images, symbols, and ritual objects, but their meaning is not always clear. Some researchers see traces of fertility cults, animal worship, or early religious images that may later have influenced South Asian traditions. But direct evidence is limited. It is also interesting that the Harappan civilization has almost no images of great wars, royal triumphs, or mass violence. There are no monuments glorifying conquerors. There are no huge royal tombs filled with treasures. This creates the impression of a society where power was expressed not through military force and the cult of rulers, but through order, standards, trade, and the organization of urban space. But this does not mean life was perfect. In any large ancient city, there were social differences, illnesses, hard labor, conflicts, and dependence on nature. Harappa simply left us a different kind of evidence. It does not speak the language of royal victories, but the language of an urban system. Cotton was especially important. The Indus Valley civilization is considered one of the first places where cotton was cultivated and used for textiles. This may have been an important trade commodity. Imagine, at a time when other regions mainly used linen or wool, the people of the Indus were already producing cotton fabrics. Harappa was part of a network of cities and settlements. Besides it, there were Mohenjo-daro, Tolavira, Kanweriwala, Rakigarhi, Lothal, and many other centers. Some had their own special features. Lothal is often associated with maritime trade, while Dolavira is known for its unique system of water reservoirs. But they all shared common features: brick architecture, planning, standardized weights, seals, and similar material culture. This suggests that the Harappan civilization was remarkably unified across a vast territory. But how this unity was maintained remains unknown. Was there a capital? Was there a common government? Or were the cities connected by trade, customs, and cultural norms without a single king? This is one of the main mysteries. By the end of the second millennium BCE, the Harappan civilization began to change and gradually decline. Large cities lost their importance, populations moved, and complex urban systems broke down. Harappa also fell into decline. But why did this happen? There was once a theory about an invasion by conquerors who destroyed the cities of the Indus Valley. Today, most scholars treat this idea with caution. It is more likely that the causes were complex and gradual. Climate change, weakening monsoons, shifts in river courses, agricultural problems, declining trade, and internal social changes. Rivers played a huge role in the life of the Indus civilization. If river courses changed, if water disappeared, if harvests became worse, the urban system may not have been able to survive. A civilization built on farming, trade, and water resources depended strongly on a stable environment. But Harappa did not disappear in a single day. Most likely its decline was long and gradual. People slowly left the large urban centers, moved to smaller settlements, and changed their way of life. Some traditions continued, but the great urban culture of the Indus Valley was no longer the same. When archaeologists began studying Harappa, they faced a serious problem. Part of the ancient city had already been damaged before systematic excavations began. In the 19th century, bricks from the ruins were used to build a railway. The ancient bricks turned out to be convenient building material, and a significant part of the site was destroyed. Only later did people understand the true value of these ruins. Today, Harappa is not just an archaeological site. It is a key to understanding one of the most mysterious civilizations of the ancient world. There are no pyramids here to immediately capture the imagination. There are no giant statues of rulers. There are no deciphered chronicles. But that is exactly why Harappa is so fascinating. It forces us to look at civilization differently. The greatness of Harappa lies not in monumental propaganda, but in organization, in straight streets, in carefully planned drainage, in bricks of standard size, in seals that connected trade and authority, in workshops where ornaments were made, in houses where families lived, in an urban system that worked thousands of years ago with astonishing precision. Harappa reminds us that the ancient world was far more diverse than it may seem. Not all great civilizations built pyramids. Not all left royal inscriptions. Not all spoke about themselves loudly. Some spoke quietly, through the city plan, through traces of water in the drains, through small seals with undeciphered signs. And perhaps the main mystery of Harappa is not only its writing. The main mystery is how such a developed civilization managed to exist for centuries, uniting vast territories without obvious palaces, armies, or royal monuments. How was it governed? What did its people believe in? What language did they speak? What did they call their city? For now, we do not know the answers, but every brick, every seal, every fragment of pottery brings us closer to understanding. Harappa is still silent, but its silence is not empty. Hidden within it is the memory of the people who built one of the most remarkable cities of the Bronze Age. Harappa is a city of grid-like streets, mysterious signs, and a vanished civilization. A city that has not revealed all its secrets. And perhaps that is exactly why it continues to attract archaeologists, historians, and everyone who wants to understand how complex and mysterious human history truly is.
Pueblo Bonito is not just a city of stone and adobe. It was the heart of the ancestral Puebloan civilization that lived in Chaco Canyon over 1,000 years ago. This civilization was marked by advanced organization, precise knowledge in architecture and astronomy, and rich cultural traditions. The city was built gradually from the 9th to the 12th century and could accommodate thousands of residents. Residential complexes combined living spaces, storage rooms for corn, beans, and squash, and communal areas known as kivas. Kivas were circular, subterranean rooms used for religious and social ceremonies. Their placement in Pueblo Bonito reflects a complex social structure. Elders, priests, and skilled artisans gathered here to make decisions, conduct ceremonies, and preserve important knowledge. The ancestral Puebloans mastered adobe brickmaking and stone construction, allowing them to build homes up to 5 stories high. Stones were carefully fitted without mortar, and walls were aligned with astronomical events. In Pueblo Bonito, some structures are oriented along the solstice and lunar lines, a practice that combined architecture with science, helping to plan planting, festivals, and religious rituals. Their economy was based on agriculture and trade. They cultivated corn, beans, and squash, gathered wild plants, and hunted deer. Corn was ground into flour, baked into cakes, and cooked in clay vessels. Evidence of granaries and subterranean storage spaces shows their ingenuity in preserving food against heat and pests. Trade networks were extensive. Obsidian for tools, shells for ornaments, turquoise, and copper were brought from afar, showing that Chaco had influence beyond the canyon. Religion and culture were closely tied to nature. Kivas and ceremonial plazas were used for rituals related to the sun, rain, and harvest. Wall paintings and symbols remain a mystery to scholars, but likely recorded calendars, mythology, and important community events. Archaeological finds reveal advanced craftsmanship, pottery, and tools made from clay and stone, jewelry from shells and stones for ceremonial and everyday use, and a sophisticated road network connecting Chaco with other settlements. Every object, every building had its place, and life was governed by both earthly and celestial laws. Despite its greatness, Pueblo Bonito was abandoned around 1150 AD. Droughts, resource depletion, and social tensions may have caused the residents to leave. Yet the ruins, kivas, granaries, and road networks preserve the memory of a civilization that combined practicality, science, and spirituality in remarkable harmony.